Like most MMOs also, there is no true end to the game, with players able to continue long after all quests and missions are complete. Square has continually updated the game with several add-ons, including 4 so far: Rise of the Zilart, Chains of Promathia, Treasures of the At Urgon, and Wings of the Goddess. The gameplay in Final Fantasy XI is also drastically changed to make the game work as an MMO. Random battle encounters, which had been featured in the last 10 games, were now eliminated, in favor of a system where enemies can be attacked on the main map, creating a claim on them, and the enemies will only attack the single player or members of his party, whoever has built up the most enmity. Non-player party members are also gone, with players forced to team up with other players to tackle quests and missions. Unlike most MMOs, however, there is no way for players in Final Fantasy XI to attack each other, although there are ways they can compete with each other. Final Fantasy XI has a large emphasis on non-quest activities, such as raising chocobos, and also uses a job system, though it is unlike the systems found in Final Fantasy V and X, having more in common with Final Fantasy III. The game got mixed reviews, with most everyone agreeing that it is a good, though flawed, game. Criticisms were levied against the lengthy sign-up process, world-changing fees, strange control system, and cross-region support, where American gamers were forced into the same servers as Japanese gamers who had been playing the game for 2 years already and had already mastered it. Many fans and critics also bemoaned the fact that a numbered entry in the Final Fantasy series was a MMO at all, thinking it would have been better as a spin-off. Sales were slow at first, as players had to purchase both a hard drive and modem for the PlayStation 2 to play the game. After Final Fantasy XI was the longest yet gap between games, with the next game in the series, Final Fantasy XII, being released 4 years later in Japan. Final Fantasy XII hit shelves at an awkward time, as the next generation of consoles was already beginning. The Xbox 360 had been released in the previous year, and the game came a few months before the release of the PlayStation 3 and Wii consoles. This, coupled with pre-release criticisms of some of the game's conventions, would make it seem that the game had a lot going against it from the get-go, and this is true. However, Final Fantasy XII wound up being a resounding success nevertheless. Like 11, 12 features a system where random encounters with enemies are eliminated in favor of enemies being integrated into the overworld. Battles, however, are very different, with previous systems such as turn-based combat, ATB, and CTB being ditched in favor of the controversial Gambit system, in which the player controls the characters indirectly using gambits to condition their actions and responses, and with some characters being completely controlled by the game's AI. This led to many jokes about Final Fantasy XII playing itself, though it turned out to be an innovative and popular system. The game takes place in the world of Ivalice, a game world previously used in several Final Fantasy spin-offs, as well as the RPG Vagrant Story. Like those games, 12 features a complex plot full of political intrigue, betrayals, and murder, making 12 a darker game like the other Ivalice games, such as Final Fantasy Tactics. Despite bad timing of the release, a long development period, the longest ever for a game, and the early jokes about the game playing itself, the game was a huge success, becoming one of the fastest-selling and highest-selling PlayStation 2 games, and leading to a huge amount of merchandising. While Final Fantasy games have always led to the creation of merchandise such as posters, action figures, limited editions, and special controllers, Final Fantasy XII went way beyond, with everything from a limited edition PlayStation 2 with matching controller to a line of energy drinks modeled after the potions in the game. The game was also a huge success critically, with universal praise and high marks all around. It received a score of 40 from Famitsu, being only the 6th game to get a perfect score, and the first Final Fantasy game to do so, and the only PlayStation 2 game to achieve this honor. For re-releases and remakes, this time we'll only be looking at Final Fantasy XI. The game was re-released on PC, the first numbered Final Fantasy game to hit PC since 8. The game was then re-released on the Xbox 360, the first numbered Final Fantasy to be on a non-Sony home console since 6, and the first ever to be on a Microsoft console. All 3 versions of 11 are cross-platform as well as cross-region, meaning that each world is not only full of international players, but gamers on the PlayStation 2 version may very well be playing in the same party as gamers on the PC and Xbox 360 versions. Final Fantasy XI is so far the only MMO to be cross-region and cross-platform. Well, that's our look at the PlayStation 2 era. Join me next time and we'll talk about the latest Final Fantasy game, as well as the few sequels that have been released.